In a lonely town, there is an old abandoned church, standing silently on the edge of the forest, its shadow seeming to swallow up everything around it. An ominous atmosphere fills the land, which is eerie. In this forgotten town, there lived a young man named Tom. He is a loner who likes to explore unknown worlds. The mysterious aura of the church attracted him, and he was determined to uncover its secrets. One night, with the moonlight shining on the winding path, Tom walked into the church. He pushed open the dilapidated door, fear and curiosity coexisting in his heart. He found that the interior of the church was as eerie as the exterior, with thick dust covering the walls and a few rays of moonlight shining through the broken glass windows. His heartbeat quickened, but he kept pushing deeper. Walking through a long corridor, he came to a hall. To his surprise, there was a huge 5-pointed star pattern in the center of the hall. His gut told him that this was not a good sign. At this moment, he heard a low chanting sound, which seemed to come from underground. He found a trapdoor, opened it carefully, and discovered a stone staircase descending. He took a deep breath and walked down. In the basement, a group of people wearing black robes gathered in a circle and held an evil ritual. Their faces were covered with strange symbols, and their eyes were full of madness and fear. They were chanting some ancient language that he couldn't understand, and the air was filled with a suffocating atmosphere of terror. Tom's heart beat like a crazy drum. He wanted to run away, but his feet felt like they were nailed to the ground. It was then that the ritual seemed to reach its climax. As the men began to scream wildly, the firelight pulsed in the basement, and shadows danced on the walls. Suddenly, a strong force pushed him to the ground. When he opened his eyes again, those people had disappeared, leaving only the empty basement. His body was exhausted and his spirit was almost broken, but he knew that he had to escape from this place as soon as possible. He climbed up the stone steps with difficulty, but when he opened the trapdoor, he found that the door of the church was closed, and a strong force prevented him from leaving. He tried breaking the window, but it was just an unbreakable barrier. He sat helplessly on the floor, trying to make sense of it all. His thoughts were racing, and his heart was filled with fear and despair. He was extremely scared of this unknown world, but he couldn't escape. Day after day, night after night, he was trapped there, trying to make sense of everything he saw. His mental state deteriorated day by day, and he began to have nightmares about those men in black robes, about the evil ritual, and about himself being trapped in this horrible place with no way to escape. His heart was filled with doubts and fears, and he began to doubt his own sanity. He even began to doubt that everything was real. His thoughts were confused and his soul was greatly tortured. Finally, Tom decided to challenge this terrifying world. He tried to decipher the secret of the 5-pointed star pattern, and he tried to understand those ancient chants. He even tried to communicate with the men in black robes, hoping they could tell him how to get out. However, all efforts were in vain. His heart was filled with despair, and his spirit almost collapsed. He began to wonder if he could really escape.